It was inevitable, but the first loss is always going to hurt. How's it going, everyone? My name is Colin Winters. I'm the host of Panthers Den, and this video, of course, is going over the Week 4 loss to the Cowboys, 28-36. Panthers' first loss of the season. Very hurt, very disappointed, but honestly, there is a lot of good to come out of this game. So yes, the Panthers did lose to the Cowboys, but it was a very hard-fought game. But honestly, it was a game that should not have been as close. This was an easily winnable game by the Carolina Panthers, and I'm honestly very disappointed in the fact that we did not come out of Dallas with a W. Now, to get the big elephant out of the room first, I feel like the officials did fuck us on momentum. Of course, that's not the only reason we lost, but there was a fumble that should have gone our way and an offensive pass interference that was not called that were on two key plays that kept momentum in Dallas' favor and led to one of the touchdowns, which we were only down by one touchdown in the two-point conversion. So, could that have changed the outcome of the game? I believe it could have, but this is the only time I'm really going to be harping on that because I don't like to yell officials, but I'm going to be honest, the officials really did not do us any favors this game. The player I'm going to highlight first is Sam Darnold. Of course, Sam Darnold had a fantastic game because even if he had two interceptions, we saw in the fourth quarter him trying his damnedest to bring us back, bouncing back from those two interceptions on back-to-back drives to then have a two throwing touchdowns after that to try to bring us back into the game. Tried his damnedest, just didn't end up happening. Sam Darnold's stats completely were 26 completions out of 39 attempts, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, and 2 interceptions. But of course, he had the 6 rushes, 35 yards out of them, and then 2 rushing touchdowns. He currently leads the league in rushing touchdowns. Of course, the big story here was that we didn't have Christian McCaffrey, and I feel like as well, Christian McCaffrey in this game could have made a huge difference. And the reason I'm not entirely mad about this game is the fact that we saw the Panthers' offense can compete without McCaffrey having to be there. We saw Chuba Hubbard do just fine without him, 13 carries for 57 yards. Royce Freeman had a few key first downs, 3 rushes for 12 yards. DJ Moore rushed for a key first down with a 6-yard run, and Rob Anderson also rushed for 3 yards. When it came to receiving, the 2 touchdowns through the air were into DJ Moore's hands. He had 8 receptions for 113 yards. Brandon Zylstra was our second in receiving yards, being 2 for 63 yards. He caught 1 big bomb that got us down there. Rodney Smith actually did pretty good on a running game, one time catching a beautiful check down after Sam was running for his life, and we'll talk about that later, which was he caught 5 for 48. Rob Anderson caught 5 for 46, so the most he's really done other than week 1 where he caught that one 50-something yard bomb for a touchdown. Ian Thomas caught 3 for 15. Chuba Hubbard caught 2 for 14. Terrace Marshall caught 1 for 2 yards, which was just so sad, so close to the first. And then Tommy Tremble was targeted but never caught a ball. When it came to the defense, we did not get enough pressure. We did not get the sacks and turnovers that we needed our young defense to do. It was the big question for me. Can our defense keep up? And they could not. We could not stop the run by any means at all. We let them run free way too much. They had a few bombs downfield when it came to receivers, but we mostly kept the running game in a pretty good, not the running game, the passing game, and a pretty good check. Also, camera, would you please focus on my face? That would be nice. No? Okay, I'm not even going to try. But when it came to it, Jeremy Chin was all over field tackling, but he, of course, couldn't get Cedric Wilson for that one touchdown. Cedric Wilson just spinning around, thanks. But Shaq Thompson, he was out of the game for a little bit, as well as Hassan Reddick. But we saw C.J. Henderson do his Panthers debut. He had 3 tackles on the day. He was all right, but he was on that one deep bomb to Amari Cooper, where he tripped up a little bit just before the ball got to him and couldn't break up that pass. Otherwise, everything else was just tackles. We had no sacks on the day, no interceptions, which was just incredibly disappointing. We had no kicker, punt returns, and everything was a touchback. Zane Gonzalez missed a field goal. So, yeah, that was fun. But Joseph Charlton also punted 3 times. But all I can really say is, God damn, Joseph, punt the ball a little bit farther. We kept giving them fantastic field position thanks to your punts. They were up in the air, almost hit fucking Jerry Jones Jumbotron, but other than that, they kept getting the ball like around the 30-yard line. When it came to the Cowboys stats, we were able to hold Dak Prescott to under 200 yards. He went for 14 completions out of 22 attempts, but even out of those 188 yards, it was 4 passing touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott also ran straight through our defense, going 20 carries for 143 yards and 1 touchdown. Tony Pollard also doing his job with 10 carries, 7 yards, and Dak Prescott having a few crucial runs, 4 for 35. The Cowboys had no 100-yard receivers. They had only Amari Cooper going for 69 yards, nice. Dalton Schultz going for 58 yards, not as nice, but 1 touchdown. And Cedric Wilson, 2 for 30 for 1 touchdown. And then Blake Jarwin, 1 for 18 and 1 touchdown. And then CeeDee Lamb, 2 for 13. Ezekiel also had a few passes thrown to him, but none of them were completed. But also the theme of the game was when it was time to stop them on third, we couldn't cover tight ends to save our life. So that was also a big issue on the Panthers. When it came to the defense of the Cowboys, I'm going to be completely honest, I just completely underestimated them. Under Dan Quinn, they are playing so much better than they did last year, and I was still thinking about last year Cowboys defense, which was a goddamn atrocious. But they played much better this time. Anthony Brown all over the field, 6 tackles on the day. Jaron Kears was also all over the place. Trayvon Diggs had 2 interceptions on the day. I expected them to have at least 1 interception, but 2 I did not expect, and that was just a fucking gut punch and a half. Otherwise, their defense just played a pretty good game. Tackles all around. When it came to kick returns, they only had 1 kick return by Tully Pollard. That was for 14 yards, and otherwise all punts were touchbacks or not touchbacks. They were fair catches because Joseph decided to punt them up so high that they just came back down at around the 35. Greg Zuerlein did fine. He kicked the 1 field goal he needed to and kicked all the extra points. And then when it came to punting, Brian Anger punted pretty well. 2 punts inside the 20 that backed us up were with some pretty bad sacks given up on that close territory. When it came to team stats, we had total yards, 379 yards for the Panthers to the 433 of the Cowboys. Passing yards being 266 to the 188. Rushing yards being 113 to 245. Jesus Christ. And then yards per play, 7.7 on the Cowboys to our 5.6. First downs being equal at 24. Third down efficiency being 4 for 13, then 3 for 9. Fourth down efficiency, we converted all 3 of our fourth downs, and they converted their 1 fourth down. When it came to total plays, 68 to 56. Sacks allowed, they allowed 0 sacks, and our offensive line allowed 5. We will get to the offensive line very soon. When it came to punts, we punted 3 times, they punted 4. Penalties, we had 6 for 32, they had 7 for 50. And fumbles lost, no one fumbled. There were 2 interceptions thrown by the Panthers, and time of possession was mostly in the Panthers' hands. We just couldn't do much with it. Now about the offensive line. The offensive line played goddamn horrible. They could not open up any middle running lanes for Chuba. Whenever Chuba Hubbard or any of our backs, for the matter, were trying to run, they could barely do it up the middle. If they did up the middle, it would have to be a power run with their own power, sending them forward for about 5 yards. Any good runs were off to the side with going off to our offensive tackles, or just having to hope that our wide receivers gave a good block. But when it came to pass protection, Sam Darnold was under pressure so much that I couldn't even remember a throw where he really had time to set himself in the pocket and just air one out. Most of the time, he was moving out of the pocket, making great throws. So really, Sam played an amazing game. So you can't be surprised that he threw 2 interceptions when he had no time in the pocket. Both of his interceptions were him having to be dealing with pressure. One time he just didn't see Trayvon, where he had a wide open Robbie Anderson and Terrace Marshall, and he didn't throw it high enough for Trayvon not to get it. And then another time was he was having to try to get DJ Moore, and Trayvon just jumped a route just enough to get it. It wasn't going to be completely his, but he did end up getting it. It was just a great play by the cornerback. Otherwise, it was the offensive line that really did us in because it did not give our offense enough chances. And now this, of course, is a tough loss because it was our first L of the season. Those are always going to hurt eventually. Let me throw my phone on the ground so it stops buzzing into my microphone. But, of course, the first loss of the season is always going to be tough to deal with. You're going to be sad, all that. But honestly, when it comes down to this game, we kept up. We came back in the fourth to try and take this game back. And that's what I'm really happy about. We didn't give up. We did not see the Panthers just deflate. It was 14 to 36 when it came into the fourth. It ends up being 28 to 36. That's a battle. And I think we proved that we are still competitors, fiery competitors, and we should be still talked about in a playoff spot. We didn't just lay down and die when we encountered a good team. We put up a fight. And that's what I wanted to see going forward. No matter what happens this year, if we end up doing our usual Panther things and go on a losing streak once we start losing, that's fine, because then we can build off of that and hopefully get some better offensive line help for Sam, because we have our quarterback of the future. Sam Darnold is going to be our QB for a while. I can tell you that for sure. Now, it's just a matter of protecting him. That's what the issue is. He has no time, so he can't make the plays that we know he can make. Anyway, yeah, the loss was tough, but it did put some very good insight into what the Panthers need going forward and how the Panthers are going to continue to be fiery competitors and that we still have hope for the rest of the season. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. I've been Colin Winters. This is the Panthers Den, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.